Have you ever really thought about it? What's the one big difference between, say, a buzzing bee and a silent rock? Or a giant tree and a single drop of water? Well, it turns out there's a really simple rule that helps us sort everything in our world. And today, we're going to figure out exactly what that is.
Okay, so before we get to that secret rule, we have to start with the basics. And our starting point, it's our environment. Now, that sounds like a simple word, but it's massive. It is quite literally everything that's surrounding you right this second.
So when we say environment, what are we talking about? Well, it could be a crazy, bustling city just packed with buildings, cars, and people.
Or on the flip side, a super quiet village, with open fields and maybe a few animals hanging around.
It could also be a really dense forest, just absolutely teeming with life everywhere you look.
Or even a huge wide-open beach. The point is, all of these totally different places and everything in them, that's all part of what we call our environment.
So yeah, to boil it all down, the environment is, well, everything. You can think of it like a giant stage, and we're all actors on it. Us, plants, animals, even the buildings and the water. But that leads to a big question. How on earth do we start to make sense of all this stuff?
All right, so we've established we live in this giant collection of stuff. But how do we even begin to organize it? This is where that one super simple clue I mentioned earlier comes into play. And that clue is growth.
Let me just ask you something real quick, a personal question. Think back, could you, right now, wear the same shoes you wore when you were a tiny baby?
Of course not, right? No way. And the reason is so simple, and this picture just says it all. You've grown. Your body is way bigger now than it was back then.
And this gets us to what growth actually means. It's just an increase in size, or height, or even amount. I know, it sounds super obvious, right? But believe it or not, this one simple idea is the key that unlocks the very first and biggest way we classify everything.
And there it is. That's the simple rule we've been searching for. Some things grow, like you, a tree, a puppy, and other things just don't. A rock, your phone, a book, they stay the same. This one single difference creates this huge dividing line through everything in our world. Check this out. This image really shows that split perfectly. Look over on the left side. You've got a person, a dog, a bird, a tree. All things that, you guessed it, grow. Now look at the right. A glass, a bike, a rock, some books. Stuff that's going to stay the same size pretty much forever.
So, okay, we need a name for everything in that first group, right? We call them living things. You'll also hear scientists call them organisms. And it's that one special skill, the ability to grow, that gets them into this exclusive club. And it makes sense then that the other group, all the stuff that doesn't grow, we just call non-living things. So simple, right? But get this. This single idea, living versus non-living, is basically the foundation for all of biology. It's huge.
All right, so we've split the entire world into two big teams, living and non-living. That's a great start. But let's look at the living team. I mean, it's still enormous. How do we start organizing all those different things?
Well, the easiest way to start is just by looking around. What are the two main kinds of living things we can see pretty much everywhere? Yep, it's plants and animals.
Okay, so plants and animals. That seems to cover a lot of ground, doesn't it? Seems like we've got most things sorted. But is that it? Is that the whole story of life? And that leads us to a really interesting question. Are there any other living things out there? Any other organisms besides the plants and animals we all know so well? For almost all of human history, the answer to that question was pretty much, nope. It was just plants and animals. That's all anyone knew about. But then, this incredible invention came along and changed everything, the microscope. And for the very first time, we could actually see a hidden world that was totally invisible to us before.
And what did we find in that invisible world? A whole new kingdom of life. They're called microorganisms. These are tiny, tiny living things, organisms, that are literally everywhere. In the water we drink, the soil under our feet, even in the air we're breathing right now. This was the missing third piece of the puzzle.
And so here it is, the complete picture. The whole world of living things, of organisms, can really be broken down into these three main groups. You've got your plants, your animals, and that massive, once-hidden world of microorganisms.
So think about it. We started with everything and used just one simple rule, growth, to bring some order to it all.
This basic split between living and non-living, it's the bedrock of all biology. But it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? If growth is the first big rule, what other simple rules are out there, just hiding in plain sight, waiting for us to notice?